Hey, what's going on, guys? So your boy here, and first things first, I want to say you're welcome. Beard bun intact, gracing you guys with its presence. Okay. Anyways, so pitching talks today. What we got? I had a really good conversation with one of my guys that I was giving a lesson to the other day. Ty, shout out. When it comes to pitching, or when it comes to sports, and I think we all can relate to the times that, you know, we've been really nervous, we've had like this built up anxiety, you know, that causes like more internal stress for us. And I really want to like elaborate on this topic because I think we all kind of go through these types of experiences within our career. And it doesn't matter like how good you are or how not good you are. I think we all kind of deal with this stuff. And I want to speak from like personal experience, and I want to kind of get a little bit deeper into it. But basically the conversation that I had with my guy the other day was, you know, we were kind of talking about performance and, you know, coming into a game. I'm going to speak from the pitching side, like coming in from a game and like depending on the situation, you know, being a little bit extra nervous, having a little bit more anxiety, putting more internal pressure on yourself, and kind of like diving into the why behind that. And that's why I kind of have written up here, again, apologies for the terrible handwriting, but I do read at a 7th grade level, so it's fine. Fear, right? I think what happens is as athletes, we are sometimes, I don't know if I can't speak for everyone, but I'll speak for myself. Sometimes, depending on the circumstances and the situation, we have a little bit more fear of certain things occurring within the game that bring about, you know, the feelings of, you know, whether it be like an upset stomach or like sweaty palms or whatever it is. And for me personally, like I can relate to this big time, man, because there was points in my career where every single time that I would go out, I would feel like these feelings that I had never felt before because I was putting so much internal pressure on myself for, you know, whatever reason it may be. So what I have in the bulleted points here are just some things, again, speaking from personal experience. If I can, you know, if any one of you guys watching this can relate, you know, I know everyone's different in what they fear the most, but when it came to my fear of pitching and sports and you know, performance, I'll dive into that, I guess, a little bit deeper. But what I have written down here is like, what's the worst outcome, right? I think obviously the worst outcome that we can have as athletes is failing, you know, not living up to the expectation, other people's perceptions, you know, looking bad, whatever that may be. Now, going back to like what it was for me, was my biggest fear was obviously failing, but it was a little bit deeper than that, in a sense that I feared failure because of, you know, I pride myself all the time on my ability to work hard and always like putting in the extra work, and obviously having like the teammates and my boys around me, like always seeing that I was working hard, and, you know, I was focusing on like, you know, really perfecting my craft, honing in on that. And then I feared that when I went out to perform in the games, I would fail and I would suck, and everyone would see the amount of work that I put in, and then I was still failing. So it comes back to this point, like I was looking bad, you know, I was a little bit too worried about other people's perception of me and the work put in, and then constantly failing. And then what I don't have written down that kind of just came to mind was that I think a lot of you can probably relate to this as well, is like I've always been like a people pleaser. You know, I want to do the best of my ability to make sure that the people around me are like satisfied, that, you know, like me, that you know, yeah, so I want to please everybody, you know. And I would get in points in my career where, you know, I was dealing with a coach or a pitching coach, and all I wanted to do was to like do good so I could please them, so they could be satisfied with me and my performance, and then we could, you know, have a good relationship. And then anytime that I failed, obviously no coach would be pleased in the player that failed. So that was another thing that really, weighed heavy on me, was that I wasn't doing my job and I wasn't pleasing anyone. And then obviously that kind of goes within the nerves and the anxiety point. Again, personal experience for me was that all of this internal pressure was weighing so heavy on me because, I was trying to control other teammates' perception. I was trying to please coaches, and I was trying to, please other people around me. And obviously as a performer or as an athlete, we don't want to fail. We don't want to suck. And, I guess depending on where you at and what the circumstances are, that kind of, can be greater or less, whatever it is, depending on if it's like the NBA Finals or if it's just a pickup game in the Bronx. I don't know why I use that as an example, but obviously the circumstances kind of weigh more on the internal pressure. So to round it up, what I started looking at later in my career was the flip side of that. What is the worst outcome? I fail, and yeah, maybe my teammates go, wow, he didn't do good, or they probably, especially nowadays, a lot of people will target you as, oh, you suck, you're garbage. Is that the worst outcome? You know what I mean? And when I was younger, I tell this story a lot actually, is like when I first got drafted, the reason that I signed so quick was that I just wanted to be a ball player. I wanted to wake up in the morning and I just wanted to play baseball. I wanted to be known for that. I wanted that to be my identity. And that really hurt me. Didn't hurt me in the sense that because I love this game and I still love this game, and it fueled a lot of motivation and it fueled a lot of desire to want to work harder and harder and harder. But at the same time, like when I fail and when I don't live up to the expectation, that weighs in on my identity, because my identity was trapped inside the game of baseball. And so what started happening for me was that I just started looking at it like, okay, if the worst possible thing, the thing that I fear the most when it comes to, having an outing or having a game for hitters, having an at bat, whatever it is, if the worst possible thing that can occur is just failing and then having everyone else's perception maybe change, then why am I so scared, or why do I have so much fear? Because at the end of the day, and I know it's easy for me to say this, right? It's a game. I never liked when people said that, but as I started kind of maturing in my process and my overall life development, I started kind of realizing that, like, yeah, I do love this game and I put my heart and soul into it, but at the end of the day, if I still have breath in my lungs and I still have like family and I still have like loved ones around me, then this game is just that. It's just a game. So what I'm trying to say is that if you look at it from the grand scheme of things, and I know everything kind of changes within the moment of the actual like game happening, if you look at it, the only thing that you are fearing is just failing at a game, and I know, again, speaking from personal experience, was like I was so worried about, external acceptance, I guess, because I wanted to please everyone. Like I said, I wanted coaches to look at me and go, yep, like we like him because he performs well. And I thought that if I didn't perform well, then no one was going to like me as a person. And the older you get, the more you start realizing that that's not the case. Maybe it could be like when you're younger, but that kind of shows you right away like what people you want in your life and what people you don't. So I know I kind of scattered a little bit there, but again, to wrap all of it up, going back to like, what is your biggest fear in terms of the game of baseball or being an athlete? Why are you allowing yourself to put more internal pressure on yourself, and why do you have more anxiety and more nerves? And again, it's one of those things where I think it's going to happen, but if you can just take a step back and be mindful of like what we just talked about, I think it'll really help you in your process and your development too. Because I didn't learn it until later, where I started kind of perceiving the game as fun again, instead of like, man, I have to do this, I have to do that because of this and that. You know, it took away a lot of joy from the game for me. Again, hope that made sense. I hope I hope someone can relate to that. I hope for those of you guys who maybe potentially are dealing with a lot of nerves, a lot of anxiety, you know, I hope you guys can relate, and I hope you can take something from this. Again, I know it's so much easier said than done, because even when I was going through those dark times of my professional career, I did have people like tell me these things, and it was in one ear out through the other, because again, my identity was trapped in the game and I just wanted so bad to do good. But I think if you can start asking yourself those important questions of like, okay, why am I so nervous? Now then weighing the possible outcomes of like, okay, if this happens, am I still alive? Yeah. Well, yeah. If this happens, like, what's the worst thing, you know? So just ask yourself those questions, be mindful of those things, and I think it'll help you in your process and your development in this game, or any game, or in life. Who knows? Yeah. All right, guys. Much love. God bless. Shout out Home Plate Clothing for the hat. Shout out The Catching Guy for the shirt. These are my shorts, and yeah, I think that's all. All right, guys. See you.